Good morning, Amit. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you? Our first show. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. So, how was last year? Do you want to give us a quick recap? Last year, the most important thing of 2024, of course, was that our podcast started. I believe
Yes,
some other things went on, but we don't care about that.
absolutely. So that was a highlight. You know that every leap year is the best year in sports. So much happened. So let's not talk of everything, but three or four great things happened. One, India won the T20 World Cup. We cannot downplay that despite how we ended. We'll come to that. Uh, World Chess Championship.
Amazing.
Come on, that guy is something. I mean, we don't have words to describe what that guy's talent is, what that guy's he has ice in his veins. I don't know how he works and how he thinks.
And that guy is Gukesh.
Yeah, good case, yes. So that is almost unbelievable the way he behaves and way he acts. Of course, Olympics happened.
Yes.
Okay, Olympics means it was not better than last time.
Okay, in what sense? What's the parameter for okay?
Okay means we in India we have sort of made up the only thing for us is it should be better than the previous Olympics. We did 1, 2, and 4 in the main Olympics, and we did 2 and 4. Okay, so that is one number. But the other side, the Paralympics guys, man, they doubled more than doubled their tally, and that was a phenomenal feat. Like they captured the imagination of the whole Indian population. Correct? The Paralympics team.
We
I think
totally
they
forgot
have.
about our other Olympics.
Huh?
We totally forgot about the regular Olympics at that.
Totally forgot about the regular Olympics to the extent a lot of things happened in the Olympics from Fogart controversy to few inches here and there. We could have got couple of medals. Lakshya Sen kind of sort of melted in the finals or the bronze medal after that. So, but we still ended up Neeraj Chopra getting his silver, Manu getting two medals, Manu Baker. So there were a lot of goods and bads there, but the year ended. From a cricket point of view, one thing went under the radar. A lot of people may realize is a resurgence of South Africa. I always believe they did a phenomenal job. You remember South Africa was now look at this first of all. They went to a T20 World Cup final. India beat them. Now they are in the WTC final.
Yep.
Okay, within a year. And I will not be surprised if in the Champions Trophy, which we'll talk in a couple of minutes, they are in the semi-final or even reaching the final and they can win it. So they did something good, which India should learn about. First of all, they have kind of separated the teams
Yeah.
between the white ball and the red ball.
Yeah.
India has to an extent, but there are still a lot of overlaps, and we start off somehow are still looking for all format players. I don't know why.
Yeah.
We have to get away from that. The mistake they did 2 years back, you remember their captain, Bavuma.
Yeah. Very bad form. Yeah. Yeah.
Bad form. He was the T20 captain. And then he was even in the ODI captain. And then they thought he was such a bad player. They started blaming the quota system in the South African team for his inclusion.
Especially
That,
much of relevance now, given all that's going on in the country.
yes,
Yeah.
that may very well be true, but the key thing was his cricketing brain. You cannot replace. But his personality and his personal skills were more on the red ball. So what they did is they took him out of the T20. They made him the captain of the test team. And look at the way a test team is now. They are just, and he is the best player, by the way. It's not only his test brain and what he could do. He is being the best batter over last 8 months for South Africa. So his skills have come back. He had an injury rush. He had a down of the form. He's back in form. That's part of the resurgence of South Africa. Their white ball team has found leadership under different players, and they are doing very well. So South Africa, I think, is my dark horse in Champions Trophy also.
So pun intended. And I think for the white ball, I think Markram is the captain now. Aiden Markram.
Yeah, Markram is the captain. Yes.
and who's also a pretty solid opening batsman now. But I
Yes.
think the other thing that you also learned from South Africa, which I think we kind of saw this for ourselves in in the Australia tour, is they have really invested in their fast bowling. They have a great fast bowling attack today. Um, uh, and of course, of them, a couple of them are pretty decent batsmen too. Ketsi,
Marco Jansen.
Jensen, and yeah. So I think, and you know, I wish we had that, and which kind of brings us to the Australia tour. But I wish we had that. But anyway, yes, to your point, and you know, because that series, the Sri Lanka South Africa series, was going on while our India Australia was going on, we did not spend enough time talking about that, and kind of went through the under the radar. But yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Um,
So that's how the year ended. And so how did the year start for you?
well, the year started with me in a bad way, and which kind of brings me to the T-shirt that I'm wearing, which says Gotterdammerung, which means it's a German opera, Wagner's Ring Cycle. It's the last of the Ring Cycle, and it means the Twilight of the Gods. And I
Okay.
thought I'll wear it today because you know January had a pretty horrible beginning because of our India Australia series where we really got whacked 3-1. We had predicted 2-1. Uh, we did not think we'd win the first test, to be honest. So we won that, and we all got a little bit overconfident. And we thought that whatever we are doing is working. It reminded me a little bit of our elections that happened in the US, you know, because Biden won. We thought, okay, okay, everything is working well. And we also thought that we won the first test, so we are like the best in the of the best. So obviously that did not work well for us, and that was unfortunate. I there are many, many reasons. We talk about cricket a lot, so I won't go back through all of them, but definitely batting, I think that's where the biggest difficulty was. And the gods in this case, Kohli and Rohit. Kohli got 100, and he played well for that 100, but I think people more or less say that, yeah, the pressure was pretty low at that point. Rohit, unfortunately, he came in when the pressure was high at every time, and he was the opening batsman against an incredibly good bowling attack, to be honest, and an aging bowling attack from Australia, but very good. And so and Rohit just was not up to it. And um, and I think we saw it a little bit of it in the World Cup finals also, you know, how they managed to get him in those same kind of trying to force the pace, and unfortunately got out too many times. And Kohli got out in his usual outside off stump, which I think was continued in India in that the Railways match, also in the Ranji match. So that's I don't think, and you know, the other reason why I kind of feel bad about Kohli was that in the last whatever 2 year period, 3 year period, I think after COVID and all, he's just tanked. Whereas Root is in an incredible form right now, and even Steve Smith has been making in the last couple of tests against India and then this first test against Sri Lanka. He's been in incredible form too. So and Kane Williamson also in that tour against the series against England has played well. It's just that our guy Kohli has probably, I think he's done at this point. As much as a fan I am, he's a very fit guy, very and you know he had a great one day series also in that World Cup. I mean that was the highest run. So it's disappointing, but it is what it is. So yeah, so not a good beginning for me. But let's see how it works out for the rest of the year. So what do we have for the rest of the year, Amit? What are you looking
So
forward?
the good news for India, first of all, you and I have spoken about the Indian under 19 girls. They
Yes.
are doing phenomenally well. The
Yeah.
under 19 Women's World Cup is on,
Yeah.
and we are in the finals, and tomorrow is the finals. And guess against who? South Africa. Wherever there is a cricket final, it's South Africa on the other side.
And
They are doing so well. They are staying under the radar, no politics, and they are just doing their job. Okay. So that is, though I was not a very fan of the format of the World Cup. They added too many matches. Just give you an idea. There's four groups of four each, and then top three of every group qualified for the next round.
yeah.
So they did so-called, they call it Super Six, but they are two Super Six groups. So basically 12 people qualified. They're two, so they have had 38 matches till now. 39th is the final tomorrow. Six of them got abandoned on no result. Out of the rest 20, 32, 21 had at least one team getting all out under 100. howsoever we may want to promote cricket and bring more and more people into it, some of the matches were literally unwatchable. They became little too one-sided and little too. But I hope this is just a beginning, and as we give more exposure to countries which have never played cricket, this will only go up. So this is one, and then this year is the World Cup year for ODI girls, Women's World Cup anyway. So we will see India doing very well. Of course, politics is going to happen because India has qualified as the host. Final two teams are yet to qualify, and if Pakistan qualifies, Pakistan has already got the ICC approval that Pakistan's game will happen in a neutral venue. If that happens, that is the first time when India is the host and a team refuses to come to India.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it actually plays out in the real time when it happens.
Yeah. 96 World Cup teams did not want to
Sri Lanka.
go to Sri Lanka. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the South Africa World Cup, Kenya had the issue, Pakistan had the few issues. This will be the first time India will have that issue, and we'll see what happens by that. So that is there. Of course, Champions Trophy is coming up. This year, I told you the year after the leap year is always the lowest year in sports. Yes, we have the regular things, the IPLs, the Super Bowls, the tennis Grand Slams because they're annual events. I'm talking about not annual events, anything non-annual, multi-country, multi-sporting events don't happen in a year after Super Bowl, except the Cricket World Cup for girls now. So Champions Trophy is coming up, 8-team Champions Trophy. A lot of eyes on it for various reasons. Of course, as a cricket fan, we want India to win, but we also want to see how India does with Kohli and Rohit in it. What happens to them if they perform? What happens to them if they don't perform?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of undercurrent and side stories, which drama, which everybody will be looking at.
So do you really think that's going to be any question of their longevity even if they do perform? Because it seems to me that we are just pretty much done with them in many ways, even of age. Take out all the run scoring, just on the age.
Yeah, they look. You know that since Sunny Gavaskar, who quit at the peak,
Yeah.
okay, Indian cricketers. So I'm only sticking to team sports. If Leander Pace and Rohan Bopanna don't want to retire, it's an individual sport. They qualify on their own merit and go ahead with that. So I have no problem with that. I'm talking of the team sports where somebody else is choosing their spot. They don't want to go. And I feel, yes, if they perform well, they will say, yes, we may not perform well in some individual bilateral series, but when it comes to the most high pressure situation like T20 World Cup we won, you cannot win without us. They will have a case. It's on up to Indian selectors to take that case or not. And my gut feel, yeah, they have been servants of Indian cricket. Give them a deadline and say, choose a game before that and call it a farewell game and be done with it. Otherwise, we will call it. Like McCallum did with Jimmy Anderson.
Right.
First test of the series, done.
Yeah. But
Okay.
you get all these, and I think you've seen it in our sports group also. There are these conspiracies about the sponsors and the broadcasters having too much of a say on who gets picked because people don't come to watch. I mean, I think you saw those things when even for Kohli's that whatever that 15 minutes that he batted, the ground was full.
Yeah.
Kotla was full.
The Kotla was full, so at the very least, these people still have the crowd appeal. But crowd is not going to come and see Kohli having a huge gap between bat and pad and getting bowled at six. It was one time, and they will go away. So no, yeah, sponsors always will have. Everybody has to. You saw the run up to the story. I have fought within that sports group because I'm a big Kohli fan. But 3 days before the actual Kotla match. One day the story was all about how he carried his own bags. The PR story. I don't know you saw the story. Kohli, despite being a star, is carrying his own bags. How the heck does it matter? Correct. Other day, a story was how when they did the football and the daily training, he was the only guy who was not out of breath. All the Delhi team was out of breath. Okay.
That
Who is planting those stories? Who cares about those stories right now? Honestly. So, but there was stories. So there was a PR machine going behind and doing that in the media. But at the end of the results matter, man. Kohli is done. Rohit Sharma is done. Actually, I believe Jadeja is done.
right.
Ashwin done or not, he was made to be done, whatever the reason is. And I want to see how Australia handles it. It's Smith being good or not. Like Kohli was good 1 year back in the World Cup, the ODI World Cup. Smith has just got form between Smith, Khwaja, Stark, Nathan Lyon, and Hazelwood. All are about to retire within next 1 year. They already forced Warner out. So how they handle this change will be interesting to see.
Even Boland is pretty old.
Huh?
Boland, Scott Boland.
Yeah, but Scott Boland started old.
Yeah,
Let's
he
put it
started
that way.
old. But what I mean,
Yeah, he's old. He's 35 plus too. But
35. Not like a long-term.
yeah, he was never, he's a stopgap right now. And another thing is Cameron Green was injured. That was another thing. They needed another bowler. So Cameron, people like Green and Marnus Labuschagne, who was little under the form, but these are their, what do you call, Travis Head. These are their core now.
Bo Webster has done well, but
Bo
again,
Webster is gonna let Josh Inglis. So these are the core. So we'll see how it goes. But they are also good doing going through the same phase which India has gone through in last 1 year. So I assume Australia will handle a little more ruthlessly so that they are ready for the 2026 T20 World Cup.
yeah. I mean, you remember, I'm sure, Amit, when the Wall, Steve Waugh and Healy and all, McGrath and all retired, right? It was all in that same India series.
Yeah, same India series.
Yeah. And that whole series kind of became a farewell tour for them. So India kind of went under the radar, which was actually good for them. But it's
Yes.
all about them.
They could have easily. I know when I can see Sharma and Kohli not announcing that Australia series will be their last series because somehow they hoped that they will be in the WTC and WTC final will be their last. But now that chance is not there. I don't know why the retirement has not happened.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, moving on from cricket. Anything else that you wanted to cover in cricket or?
No, cricket is good. All the best to the girls tomorrow and all the best to the ODI World Cup for the girls again this year. That will be awesome.
Yeah. But by the way, the one quick thought that had come to my mind is it seems like we are getting better at the niche sports, chess, Paralympics, the girls ODI, girls cricket, women's cricket. In the mainstream, and of course, you can debate whether what is mainstream and what is niche, but let's just go with viewership. In the mainstream ones, we seem to be slowly going declining. And I do not, I mean, I don't think there's a causality, at least nothing that I can work out right now. But a very stray observation is that we're getting better and better at these smaller ones. So anyway, let's see where it ends up. It's more of an observation than a question. But
No, that's true. Look at it outside of cricket in some way
yeah,
and field hockey,
yeah,
which from Olympics point of view, India does not do very well in any team sport.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
we are all about individual sports and individual charisma because we'll have one or two players take it Leander Pace or take it back Ramanathan Krishnan, Ramesh Krishnan, Leander Pace, even Mirza and now Guke.
yeah.
Even in badminton, individual as a team, we have done well.
On that note, I think Srijesh got a one of the awards this year at the
Yeah,
on
he got the Padma Award. Yeah.
Padma, right? I was trying to remember which one was it, the Padma Shri or the Padma, which one. So he got a Padma. So that was talking about hockey and stars. But that guy is a genuine breakout star, at least.
That's genuine breakout star. Absolutely.
Olympics, he has shown that, right?
Yep. 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 Yep.
Okay, so well, then going on to tennis and the Australian Open, and which kind of brings me to the other one of my the Twilight of the Gods, which I think is Novak. I mean, incredible run for Novak. Sadly ended in tears, and unfortunately booing, which I thought was very, very, very unfortunate. The
It was a little sad to see that the Australian crowd doing that. Novak is to Australian crowd, which Rafa is to the French Open crowd.
yes, he's that.
But he should be revered. I know the whole COVID thing and the visa thing which happened, and he got loudly booed at that time, and maybe rightly so to an extent. But booing him, yeah, it's unfortunate. If I have the tickets and he goes after one set, I'll be sad too. But booing him to the extent covered by the press and that idiot Jones guy, we can talk about him, that he has to put his incredibly personal medical records showing his MRI on his Twitter handle to see, look at my MRI and now tell me whether I was faking my injury and all.
Oh, but
How
one
he did that? He put his MRI on the Twitter, Instagram, every channel. You, what has the world come to? That a 24 times Grand Slam champion, 10 times Australian Open champion has to defend himself by giving his personal record, and you don't believe him. That was, I felt bad and sad for him. Howsoever, I may not be his fan recently, but nobody can deny his talent. If somebody has a challenge with that, and people have used medical timeouts to bathroom timeouts to all their gamesmanship and advantage,
yeah,
and you are booing him for him taking a loss. He did not take a medical timeout and got fixed and came back and won.
yeah,
He said,
that-
I cannot win. He accepted defeat.
yeah.
You are booing him for him, somebody accepting defeat.
I
I
mean,
don't get it.
we're talking about cricket, and Kohli got booed, which I thought was right because
Yes,
I think Kohli was very stupid in that thing that he did. I lost a lot of respect for him.
yes.
He is like that, and I can totally see why the crowd would get upset. This one just made no sense to me for the guy who's given it all and won an incredible match too.
Yes, what I incredible match, just 2 days before that.
As I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, that was sad. If I Yes, Novak doesn't have many years left. Maybe this is his last year. Maybe next year. If this not this year's episode, the visa episode and the COVID episode had not happened, I believe he would have said his farewell at Australian Open.
Yeah.
But there's no chance he's doing his farewell at Australian Open anymore now.
Yeah.
Whenever he does his farewell.
But coming to the finals, I thought, yeah, I mean, Sinner, another person with a little bit of a sketchy, some controversy about him, and Mehdi also with controversy.
Yeah.
Like it is a strange final where both people have things going on in their lives, and I think even Daniel did he get booed, or there was some controversy around the domestic violence thing, right?
So there was allegations going around. Yeah, absolutely.
Popped again, I thought at some point.
Yes. So they have popped again. Uh, the worst kind of allegations against anybody, but I will let the whole thing play out before commenting on him. But Sinner did play. Sinner match, though it was world number one versus world number two. Did you ever feel the other guy was world number two at that time? It was so much difference, correct?
Become a little bit like the women's side, right? Whereas,
Yes.
and coming quickly to the women's side, and I thought that Madison Keys did really well. She beat two great players. It's usually the other way around where it happens.
Yes.
Because it's always a gap. I always thought the gap between number one and number three is so vast.
Actually, I was rooting for Keys, but my head was Sabalenka because Sabalenka was so much better. And Sabalenka,
Right? So much.
yeah, so it was one of those, for the first time, the heart won over the head. Because generally, when there's a heart versus head debate, the head wins, correct? But it was good to see Madison because she is what, 29 years old, her second final. I don't think so she will ever do this well again. So good for her to win one. She deserves one because Sabalenka has a phenomenal career in front of her. She will win 4 or 5 more.
Same as Swiatek. I think she also has a big career ahead of her.
Yeah.
Moving on from tennis, you want to talk about the US sports?
So actually, we cannot end our podcast or do without talking about Super Bowl, which is coming up.
2 weeks?
8 days from now, and we can do a little bit of projection what will happen in 8 days. But it was an incredible year in one way. I'm a Lions fan. We did 15-2. First time ever we became number one seed. First time ever we won 15 games in a year. But it ended with such a huge freaking disappointment. I have not yet got over it. Losing after being number one seed in the first round of playoff was a disaster. But luckily for us, the team score is still there. They're not going anywhere. So we have 2 to 4 years of Super Bowl window still left. So hopefully that will be good. And same will be, I can say, what about your Niners? Though I have my own views about Niners windows.
Yeah, Niners just did not catch fire this year. Part of it is also, I think the injuries also got a little bit too much. The negotiations took right to the edge. They were like, not showing up in practice and all of that. And I think it just started on the wrong foot. I The other thing which I was just telling my wife, who's like the world's greatest Niners fan, uh, both Sam Darnold and he was understudy for one season, so you can't call him quite a Niners in that sense. But I had forgotten Alex Smith was a Niners guy, and he went to KC, to Kansas City Chiefs, and he was the guy who got replaced by Mahomes.
Yes.
I had forgotten about that, but I know that he left Kansas City, but I did not quite connect that was Mahomes who had replaced him till I just saw it as, oh yes, of course.
And at Niners, he was replaced by our famous Kaepernick.
Which also
So,
which ended in tears. So I mean, that
yeah.
which is my saddest story of at least on my Bay Area. I mean, there's very too many sad stories in American professional sports, but in my Bay Area, I think that was one sad story for me. Kaepernick.
I have to actually, we have discussed about Niners few years back when Garoppolo was the quarterback. And now I like Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
But I somehow love them and root for them because it's an underdog story from where they have come and where. But I think the talent has reached its glass ceiling
I
for Garoppolo to extend now for Brock Purdy that he need people like Lions did 15-2 and they failed. But remember, there 26 different people and 14 of them on defense alone when were in IR.
yeah,
We had third stringer start in the first playoff game.
yes, you guys
We
had
did so well that our overall defense was not good, but they did so well. The defensive coordinator is now a head coach this year at some other team, Jets, because they said if you can do that with a third stringer, what you will do with a first stringer. So injuries are part of the game. Christian McCaffrey was injured for most of the season. But I think it starts with the person in the middle, Brock Purdy, and he will get a contract. He will get a contract to the extent of 40 to 45 million a year easy, and he deserves it. But then the only way for Niners is to win, to have three or four great pieces around him. But look at Kansas City Mahomes. Travis Kelce is a great name because of Taylor Swift and everything and his past. But what has he done this year? Literally nothing. Apart from last game being very good, he has been average. So tell me a great player around Mahomes this year. It's somehow Mahomes, and Mahomes also has not played very well.
exactly.
Somehow he's able to
He's
win.
feeling though he's picked up, and yeah,
So the mindset of the team is as long as Mahomes is there, we are going to win. I don't know if Niners clubhouse thinks that way. As long as Brock Purdy is there, we are going to win. That mindset, they need a guy who can bring that mindset.
I think Cap had that. Kaepernick had that. He was such a
Caps had absolutely had that.
such a
That team which went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Fluky or Flacco, whatever the name is. Sorry, I'm having fun with. Always used to call him Fluco, Joe Flacco, in that Baltimore game.
Ravens, yeah.
That was not Kaepernick's year to take it. He took it ahead of the year. Actually, their year was the year after that. They took him to Super Bowl, overperformed.
And it is, and the no, I mean, we've got a new coordinator, OC coordinator, Robert Saleh from the Jets. So
Yeah,
let's
I know.
back. So we have a lot of hope in that he does something. But talking of disappointments, I have to also say that uh, one other thing is with the Bills. Think of them, man. incredible team. Again, they lose. Again, they
Yeah.
lose to KC. I mean, this is like when you are like the a third spinner behind Bedi or Prasanna, or you are playing when the big three in tennis are playing, and then you're like, no
Yes.
one remembers you, even though you might be really good. And I feel
Yeah,
about
no, they are exactly like Andy Murray.
yeah,
Somehow being called a top team, but Andy Murray won only three Grand Slams and everybody else is 20 plus.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Or Stan Wawrinka, who
yeah.
won three, but he was never counted as good as Andy Murray. No, I feel for Bills, man. They are a great team. I don't know what made them lose, but they lost. And look, they are the only team who has been to four Super Bowls and never won one,
Yeah,
and for all four in a row.
yeah.
Bills, I would have been rooting outside of Lions anyway, but now they are not there. So final, what's the projection? Super Bowl projection, man.
And you look when you have KC, it's very hard to not say it's going to be Chiefs. I mean, like you just made the point that it's not how good your players are, how what is the psychological advantage that you have over.
So
So
I agree with you. So in my back of the mind, I still believe KC is going to win, but I am wholeheartedly rooting for Jalen Hurts because I like him anyway. Wholehearted rooting for Saquon Barkley. I think Barkley will do around 130 to 150 yards. By the way, if he does 30 more yards,
he breaks a record. Yeah, yeah,
he breaks a record of most rushing yards, including playoff in 1 year.
yeah.
And 130 to 140 yards, he will do it. I think it will not even be a close game. I don't think so. It will be a classic. So of course, I'm hoping it will be Hurts or Eagles who win over KC. But whosoever wins, I don't think it's a close game. It means when I say close game means two possession games, means somebody will win by 9 points or more.
Yeah. By the way, I forgot to mention this, but since you mentioned Garoppolo and he went off to Raiders and then I think straight from there. But Raiders has a new coach too. I keep following the Raiders a little bit because they're former Bay Area team.
Of course, of course.
Sadly moved to Las Vegas, but Raiders has a new coach, Pete Carroll. That was an interesting.
Yes, I was surprised. The world is moving younger.
Yeah,
So
70.
him, Pete Carroll coming back, and Andy Reid are the only two old ones left.
Yeah, yeah,
Ben Johnson, the Chicago Bears coach, which was Lions offensive coordinator, is 30 freaking 8 years old. Then we have Sean McVay. Maybe there are five coaches right now, head coaches in NFL who are younger than Aaron Rodgers, who wants to play.
my God. Wow.
So
Like
the
that.
world is becoming younger because the creativity is different, connection with the players is at a different level. It's not about just beat them hard like Belichick style
Yeah,
to win. So I was surprised that Tom Brady made a great pitch to Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson just didn't agree with him. And Tom Brady helped them choose a coach, and it turned out to be Pete Carroll.
yeah.
That was a little sad, but Pete Carroll is a great coach. Don't get me wrong. He's just too old.
We in Niners have a long history with, with
Yeah, absolutely.
and even I mentioned Robert Saleh, but he's Saleh coming back as a defensive coordinator for. I think I mentioned offensive earlier, but coming back as a defensive coordinator for Niners is also a kind of a comeback, homecoming of sorts. But again, a little bit of a demotion, you could say. So this coaching thing is very interesting. That I always find sometimes the head coach is back as a coordinator, and then the coordinators are getting promoted as
Oh, the coaching is like that. If you look at last 25 years, I have been here in US, I have followed this. I initially didn't get it, but now it's very common. Actually, I have seen head coaches gone to a third level as linebackers coach
yeah,
under a defensive coordinator. So they don't care about it. It's not about ego. The guy who was your boss in the next job, he will be working for you. They
yeah.
are very open about it. It's about skills, what you want to do. These coaches get 10, 12 million. Not Carson, Ben Johnson got 14 million from Bears as a head coach.
And let me also
14
clarify,
million.
this is not the Ben Johnson of Stanozolol and 100 million.
Yes, not that. May I'm saying 10 to 14, there are 10 coaches getting 10 million plus. They're getting enough money, but the day they get fired, Next year, they become a offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator, which gives them 2 to 3 million because somehow they want to be plugged into the game,
Yeah,
either for long-term sustenance
yeah.
or that in 2 years' time they can be head coach again. There are only 32 teams. There can only be 32 head coaches. So people cannot say, okay, it's not like unlimited number of companies. I'm a CEO here. There'll be a startup. I'll become CEO again. A million companies to go to. So that's the way.
And one other quick thing before we end up is on the college football versus NFL, that the conveyor belt. It's not much of a conveyor belt because it doesn't move that quickly. But we had two big ones though, between Jim Harbaugh and Bill Belichick, and two very successful. And of course, there's a 49ers connection with Harbaugh, but you could say that Belichick also kind of reached that ceiling, and I was thinking of him because of that Pete Carroll thing, where Carroll came back at 73. Belichick is probably a little bit younger than him, right?
Yeah, he's 1 year younger, but Belichick tried. The
Right.
news was that his team reached out to every NFL team which will have a head coaching opening, and nobody said we are interested in you before he said yes to NC. And by the way, till a week back, think about this. It's a 10 million a year contract with the University of North Carolina. He actually didn't sign the contract till a week back. Bill Belichick agreed to a contract which had a penalty that if he leaves in the first year, he has to pay a $10 million penalty. If he leaves in the second year onward, it's a $1 million penalty. So after second year, it's easy for him to move. He still did not sign the contract because he was waiting for head coaching openings. He still tried in the back channels to every team which had a head coaching opening, except Jets. Jets, Patriots, Jets will not take him. Everybody else he tried.
आएगा आने वाला.
आएगा आने वाला. So Bill Belichick, yeah, he's done. It's okay. He has done a lot. Six Super Bowl rings. Nobody's coming close to it. Andy Reid may try, but so they should gracefully retire. That's all.
Yeah. So
And we talk about Kohli and Rohit. They
exactly,
also don't want to retire.
to end with my Twilight of the Gods. Anyway,
Yes, toilet of the gods.
well, that was fun. I realize also it's been 2 months since our last one because we started it at the beginning as the Australian series, India
Series
Australia.
opening, yes. So
Um,
we will do that. We will let's do that before IPL. Champions Trophy is done before IPL.
yeah,
Let's discuss if possible get a panel. We know a lot of people.
yeah.
Cricket panel, but more focused on new innovations in cricket, not about players, and then Test versus ODI versus T20. Look in the crystal ball. 10 years from now, which format will survive and which won't.
Yeah, yeah. I know we are covering all sports here, but cricket obviously is the one which has got probably most popularity for our viewers, and maybe probably for both of us too. Definitely for me. So yeah, this innovations in all sports have innovations. Cricket innovations are something that we see and kind of hits us more and confuses us more also occasionally. So
Yes.
anyway, well, that's good. Have a great February. And happy Valentine's Day. I can't think of anything else in February, but
Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody, the Senior Olympics is this year.
okay.
Anybody, and Senior Olympics is another name for senior sports event for US. US is only for US. US has taken the name for Senior Olympics, but it's this year. If anybody is 50 plus and wants to participate in a sport, this is the year for that.
Without injuring yourself. There we go.
Without injuring yourself, but have fun. Keep on playing.
All right. See you, everybody. See you, and thank you again to our viewers. Thank
Bye, bye, guys. Thank you and talk to you soon.